Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation, you know what time it is. Welcome to the show, everybody. Boy, do we have a disastrous show for you today. Oh boy. So, as you can see from the title, the Democrats have already rolled over in record time. We got Democrats rolling over for Republicans. We've got Mitt Romney playing Reek once again. We've got Trump supporters intimidating people at the polls. And then, we got Donald Trump basically talking about how, hey, you know all those 200,000 people that died? Virtually nobody. They're virtual nobodies. Oh boy. What a great day. What a great day today. So this is just a little bit of a look into the future. Things are bleak, let me tell you. So we'll get into that today. Fun little news, right? Just like fun little stuff. So we're back to streaming on Twitch. So actually earlier today, I was on Benjamin Dixon's show. So he was doing a little bit of streaming on Twitch. I came in to have we had a little bit of conversation. It was fun. So Benjamin Dixon on Twitch. Go follow his channel. Also, I'm on Twitch. Go follow my channel. I do some gaming streams. And, of course, I'm also doing the normal show as well. So make sure to go there, follow, do all that stuff. Help us out. Facebook, same thing. All that great and wonderful stuff. All right. Are we having some, stream issues here on YouTube? Seems to not be working on YouTube very well, but I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Fuck it. Do it live. We're going to do it live. All right, anyway. Let's dive into the first story. Oh, before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. One way to, of course, help us out. All right. Oh, looks like everything's working. All right, I guess the preview is broken on my end. Weird. Not surprising. Oh, yeah, by the way, there's some comments here. Before I started the show, one of them was from, hold on. It was from, I believe, let me find that. I know I had it here. I saw a comment. Basically, I forget who asked it. Definitely. Here we go. Asks, how do I not get burnout with all this great news? And did I pre-order any next-gen consoles? So that is two questions in one. So you get a twofer. Okay, how do I not get burnt out on the news? Well, I do. Like, the burnout is real. Like, I'm in, the fourth stage of burnout, and I have been since 2016. Kyle Kalinske over at Secular Talk told me something very interesting last time that we had a conversation. And he talked about how basically doing this job is nothing but burnout. So you are constantly burnt out on the news, but you keep going anyway because you have to. You've got to keep talking about it. You got to keep telling the truth, and you got to keep reaching new people to change hearts and minds, and hopefully to someday get the policies that this country needs. So yes, the burnout is absolutely real. I'm lucky because I'd like to say I'm a pretty resilient person. Got a thick skin, gotta have it, and and I'm also super calm. Again, I was talking to Benjamin Dixon earlier today, and he says, "Man, I get so pissed off reading the news. I go and punch the shit out of a boxing, like, what is a punching bag." And so what I do is I'm a calm person to begin with, so I'll just go and I'll play some video games. I'll stream that on Twitch. We'll have some, I have fun. I spend time with my family and all that stuff. So, I have my ways of coping, and part of it as well is part of doing this is being able to yell at a camera too. And that is, it's actually great catharsis right there. Just being able to yell and scream in front of an audience and kind of really share this with you. As far as pre-ordering any next-gen consoles, negative. I have not pre-ordered yet. So, yeah. Talon's Pride says, I archived this mess and I'm so burnt out. I hear you, brother. I do. Absolutely. I'm with you. But at the same time, got to keep going. Got to keep going. All right. That was a great question, Defloyd, by the way. Let's see. LL says, it affects virtually nobody. Trump at yesterday's rally. 200,000 dead, more with long-term organ damage, millions with no jobs. I've been socially distancing for 6 months. All nobodies. Yeah. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Camera doesn't yell back. It's true. It's very true. Oh, geez. 3-year-old daughter has COVID. That's horrible. Horrible. All right. Anyway, let's actually go to that story, L, that you did the super chat about. And I will show you what Donald Trump said about the so-called nobodies. Virtual nobodies.
Now we know it. It affects elderly people with heart problems and other problems. If they have other problems, that's what it really affects. That's it. In some states, thousands of people, nobody young, below the age of 18, like nobody. They have a strong immune system. Who knows? You take your hat off to the young because they have a hell of an immune system. But it affects virtually nobody.
Virtually nobody. What's an amazing thing. Hats off to the young people who we also don't give a fuck about. I mean, honestly. The Trump, and you heard the audience, they're like, yeah, yay. Young people are overwhelmingly left-wing, right? It is kind of funny. But look, that's Donald Trump saying that 200,000 people that died from coronavirus, virtually nobody. Affects virtually no one. Great. So, hey, if you're one of those people who lost a family member or friend to COVID, no, the president thinks that you are no one. Because obviously, virtually nobody was affected. What a man of the people right here, let me tell you. He also said the elderly people are affected. But look, it's the elderly and the immunocompromised. Are they more at risk? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And just happen to make up, as some of you point out, Donald Trump's base. But look, that's why it's a bad idea, because if I would have, more in that speech, right? He basically said after that, by the way, we should open up the schools. Let's open up the schools. Oh, right. So your kids can go to the school, all congregate with each other, spread COVID around to each other, and then bring COVID back to their parents and grandparents. And by the way, children are not immune. Young people are not immune. Children also get sick. Young people can get very sick and can have damage, can die from it, as well as young adults can also get sick or die from this disease. It's just a little bit less than older people who are even more at risk, but it doesn't mean that there's no risk for younger people. And so that's why it is a terrible idea to open up the schools. And by the way, again, the cases of COVID-19 killing young people and regular people involve things like heart attacks. For example, there's a 21-year-old man in Florida, very healthy person, right? No pre-existing conditions. He ended up getting what he called a very mild case of COVID, right? He's like, I had the mild case, and he's like, wasn't too bad. It was okay. I got over it. And then afterwards, his organs literally started shutting down. He nearly died as a result. And then this, again, 21-year-old, right? Hats off to the young people. Well, he's a young person. And there are examples of that all over the country. Just because they're a little bit less likely to suffer to suffer death doesn't mean that they don't suffer, okay? And that's the problem. This can happen to healthy people, okay? And his name, by the way, was Spencer Rollins. Spencer Rollins originally thought that this was a joke. Like, COVID, they're just kind of blowing this up. And that's what you hear from conservatives all the time. Oh, well, there's this, overhype in this. It's not really that big of a deal. No, it is a big deal. It's serious. It's not a game, okay? And by the way, Spencer Rollins don't think that anymore, right? He doesn't think COVID's a joke. And by the way, if you have this, and yes, a lot of people get it, do recover, okay? But there's a significant portion of them that have serious health problems as a result. People that get heart damage, kidney damage, not to mention we live in America where we have crushing medical debt from people spending time at the hospital because we don't have universal health care in this country. There are issues. But as usual, President Donald Trump cannot see past his own re-election, and that is a major problem. And by the way, after on top of dismissing the real risks of coronavirus, including students, President, and this is according to advocacy group Social Security Works, they say, the president's remarks show that Trump thinks the lives of seniors, in his words, elderly people, are disposable. That is his base. And as long as they vote for him, and many will, he does not care what's going to happen to them as a result. And the kicker here, of course, is that Trump is lying to people. He told Bob Woodward that this virus is indeed dangerous. It's horrific. It's unbelievable. And doesn't just affect old people. That's his private position. You see his public position. And that's it. Okay? That's a problem. So yeah, he's gaslighting you. Because he thinks his followers are morons. And you know what? He's right. They are morons. Look, if you still have all the information, because it's everywhere, okay, and you decide you still want to support Trump, and you think, not a big deal. Well, then you're either dumb or you're greedy, and you don't care about people dying from a pandemic. And you're also likely, by the way, to be the type of person who would call for Hillary Clinton's head if even 200 people died of COVID-19 if she had won the presidency, by the way. But hey, you don't give a shit about 200,000 because it's not about principles. It's only about politics. That's, my guy, my team, my cult. And that's what it is. You're a cult member. And now, here are some of the facts for those who are not cultists. According to the CDC, nearly 40,000 Americans under the age of 65 have died from COVID-19, including hundreds between the ages of 15 and 24. So much for virtually nobody, okay? And by the way, the death toll does not include hundreds of thousands of people, just the thousands of people who have been seriously sickened and hospitalized by this virus. Now, I hate the idea that it doesn't really count if you didn't die from this, right? It doesn't mean that you haven't been impacted in a negative way. I mean, there are long haulers who deal with this virus for months. People who cannot function, they can't really work. They're, massively tired. There's depression that goes along with it. They can't really do anything because this virus is assaulting their bodies. But Donald Trump, he doesn't give a goddamn. Neither do his followers. If it doesn't affect him, they don't care. And the worst thing is, now we're in the fall season, right? Fall, winter. We've been warned by medical professionals that summer wasn't really that bad. But wintertime, fall time, here it comes. COVID, and we're already seeing a spike, a second wave in a lot of places. Europe, for example, who did do a lot of the right things, they did lock down, and they're already seeing an increase in cases. Yeah. So, look, this is a huge problem. And by the way, in Europe, they did, income support, and they did do a lot of the right things. Yet here in America, we did not take the summer to prepare. We didn't do anything. We barely even had a lockdown. And in some places, some places didn't do anything at all. Didn't encourage wearing of masks. And we didn't support small businesses or people. We gave away most of the money to the rich. There was a story that came out where a lot of the aid money that was supposed to go for, making masks and ventilators and things like that, guess what? That went to the defense contractors immediately. And then, of course, we started opening back up. As a result, we've got 4% of the world's population, 25% of the world's COVID-19 cases. That is a failure of not only policy, but leadership. And it's because our leaders don't give a damn about us. Donald Trump, Republicans, as well as the corporate Democrats that enable the Republicans and Trump. And we haven't even seen the worst yet. Reuters has reported, by the way, that the University of Washington's Health Institute is forecasting coronavirus fatalities reaching 378,000 by the end of the year. That's almost 200,000 deaths. It has taken this long to reach 200,000. And now they're saying in the next 3 months, less than 3 months, an additional 178,000. The death toll by December, they say, is likely to reach 3,000 people a day. 3,000 people. That is nearly a 9/11 a day. Are Republicans going to say anything about it? Absolutely not. Because they don't care. They don't give a damn. It's sickening, man. All right. Turntable Treehouse. I never got my stimulus. Yeah. A lot of people didn't. So much for, helping the country, right? Helping the citizens. They gave most of that money to the rich. Spaced on Inc. Hi. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to Twitch. 1113. Herd mentality. Yeah. I would put that on the soundboard, but that's also just like, I don't know. Betsy DeVos may have broken her Hatch Act. Yeah. I'll have to talk about that tomorrow. Maybe. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Mitt. Following the news that Senator Mitt Romney will support the Republican Senate in replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court in an election year, the Republican from Utah got a little bit of heat online. So now Romney was originally considered to be one of the potential holdouts, right? Now you've got Suzanne Collins, Lisa Murkowski. They were only Republicans to go on the record to say, well, we're going to wait until the election to put forward a Supreme Court nominee. Well, that's not going to happen because now you have Mitch McConnell. He's got all the votes that he needs. He can push forth this, whoever this possible replacement is going to be, have them confirmed in pretty short order. So we could see this by Saturday. Right? We could see a confirmation vote probably even by next week, if not sooner. And so there's no filibuster. All you need is a simple majority. Republicans have a simple majority, and they're going to get their vote. They're going to get their nominee. Nonetheless, to defend himself, Mitt Romney put out this statement. Here's what he said.
On the other hand, when there's a nominee of a party that is in the same party as the Senate, then typically they do confirm. So the Garland decision was consistent with that, and the decision to proceed now with the President Trump's nominee is also consistent with history. I came down to the side of the Constitution and precedent as I've studied it, and make the decision on that basis.
All right. He also, like I said, put out a written statement that said the historical precedent of election year nominations is that the Senate generally does not confirm an opposing party's nominee, but does confirm a nominee of its own. The Constitution gives the president the power to nominate and the Senate the authority to provide advice and consent on Supreme Court nominees. Accordingly, I intend to follow the Constitution and precedent in considering the president's nominee. The nominee reaches the Senate floor. I intend to vote based on upon their qualifications. Okay, but here's the thing. Republicans don't follow their own precedent. I mean, you want to talk about, what they're supposed to do, right? Advice and consent. Well, how come President Obama, when he put forward his Supreme Court nominee, back in 2016, with about 8 months before the election, he put forward that nominee, Merrick Garland, and Republicans said, hey, you know what we're going to do? Not a goddamn thing. We're just going to let this nominee sit. We're going to wait until the election. They blocked. Now, look, part of Congress's job, and notice how he qualifies that. It's like, well, they don't generally confirm the nominee of the other party. Okay, but at least they're supposed to advise and consent, right? Right? Well, they didn't get that chance because Merrick Garland didn't even get a goddamn hearing. That's a stolen seat. And when you look at what actually happened, it's a stolen seat. But they don't care. They don't give a damn. And by the way, Harry Reid nuked the filibuster, okay, back during his term. Now, that's important because afterwards, when Republicans got control of the Senate, they also nuked the filibuster. Now, that turned out to be a bad idea. But, here's the thing. They had unprecedented obstruction to deal with back in the Senate, okay, at that time, okay? And so Mitch McConnell was blocking every single judicial nominee. Everything that the Democrats wanted to do, Republicans would block it. And so Harry Reid felt like, well, hey, look, we got to go nuclear, right? If we're ever going to get anything done, okay, let's do that. Well, again, turned out to be a really bad idea because Republicans, as we had warned them, liberals, that, hey, look, Republicans are going to use it against us. And that's exactly what they did. And so, unfortunately, that's what we saw. Merrick Garland, as I said, blocked for 8 months. The irony here is, by the way, the Republicans at the time used the excuse that, hey, man, look, we can't do anything because it's too close to an election. We should let the people decide. Okay, well, how come you can do that 8 months before an election? But now, when it's Donald Trump, and you've got 1 month into election, then it seems to be okay. I mean, there's some hypocrisy there. Well, yeah, that's because Republicans, all they do is hypocrisy. All they do is practice hypocrisy. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised when they do exactly what we say that they're going to do. Why is it that independent media is the only one that knows Republicans for who they are? Why is it that there are liberals out there that still believe the Republican Party acts in good faith? They don't. They don't, and they consistently prove it every single goddamn day. Look, this is not about, this is about their hypocrisy. Okay, they are complete and utter hypocrites, but they don't care at all. They don't care. It's all about power. And so, yes, they will absolutely be hypocrites if it means that they gain more power. And Mitt Romney, as I said before, only cares about the conservative supermajority and being able to usher in conservative policies that are, anti-choice, anti-union, anti-labor, anti-universal health care, all that stuff. That's all he cares about, getting his policy wins. And so, yes, he doesn't care about the hypocrisy whatsoever. All right, so now, Mitt Romney got a few responses, and I love this. One is Megan for Biden. She says, I actually thought you would be on our side. I really should stop trusting Republicans like you. No, you should just stop trusting Republicans. That was your first mistake. I mean, seriously. Republicans are not your friends. Why have you not learned this lesson? Why do you not understand this? Why do you still believe that Republicans are good faith actors? They are not. They're always going to be bad faith actors. Every liberal is now having this lesson pushed into their face. And they should be. And they should be. And look, we've been saying this for years. You cannot trust Republicans. You cannot appeal to Republicans because they will, at their core, they will never agree with you. And they will always vote for their own power. And that's it. Why? And this is what frustrated me about Hillary Clinton and her strategy to go after suburban Republicans. And the same problem with Joe Biden. Joe Biden earlier today comes out and says, well, I beat the socialist. I'm not a socialist. I beat the socialist. Shut the fuck up, dude. Why are you doing this to yourself? You need the vote. By the way, Bernie Sanders, not a socialist. He's a social democrat. He's a sock dem. Okay? He calls himself a democratic socialist. He's a sock dem. And that's a good thing because I agree with a lot of the stuff Bernie Sanders does and advocates for. Joe Biden clearly does not. And the thing about that, though, is that Bernie's policies are incredibly popular with the American people. People want universal health care, right? People want, yes, they want a public option because they believe that that is more feasible. But also, they say, well, we'd like a Medicare for all system as well. We'll take a public option. We think that it's more feasible. We keep being told that it's going to be better. And so we're going to go along with that. But hey, we'll take a Medicare for all, single payer system as well. Those are left-wing ideas. Joe Biden's backed away from the public option. He says, we're just probably going to focus on Obamacare fixes, which is exactly, of course, what his donors want him to do. We needed Bernie. Absolutely, we do. And so, look, why don't they go and try to get progressives? Well, it's because the donors really don't like progressives. That's why these politicians will always go and support Republicans. All right, more. Country Over Con Man says, so essentially a Republican Senate will never allow a Dem SCOTUS pick to be seated. That's the rules now. Yeah. Republicans will never play fair because it's not about fairness. It's about power. Power is power. And that's it. All right. Another one says, Republicans, yes. Democrats, oh my God, how could you? Everyone else, why is this a surprise to anyone? Well, it shouldn't be. It's not surprising at all. Another one says, the precedent is to put party over country and to 100% be self-serving. So I intend to do just that. Allegedly, quoting Romney there, because that's essentially what he's done. Another person says, also, you guys are moving heaven and earth to get this done, but have been sitting on that COVID relief package since May. If there's a hell, every single one of you is heading there. Wrong. Mitt Romney's getting his own planet. No, I'm kidding. Kidding. He's right, though. That is a great point. I brought this up in the show yesterday. Republicans have done nothing on COVID-19. I mean, other than put together a $300 billion skinny bill, which is basically does just about nothing for COVID-19. No UBI, no rent freezes, nothing like that. And by the way, the evictions are here, so it's probably not going to help. They've done nothing for the Average American. Nothing. And now, like lightning, they're moving so fast on getting this Supreme Court nominee. It really shows you their priorities are the rich people and their own power. And by the way, any nominee to the Supreme Court is going to be a massive corporatist. Now you could say, well, look, anybody who the Democrats nominate is also going to be corporatist. Fair point. But with a Trump nominee, you're not only going to have extreme corporatism, like in the vein of Neil Gorsuch, right? But you're also going to have, along with it, fundamentalism. I talked about this potential nominee yesterday, who's a Christian, ultra-Christian, basically cultist, right? And I'm not saying that all Christians are cultists. I'm saying that this particular person is a cultist, a Catholic cultist, who believes that women should be subservient to men. So there's that person. That's who we could be getting on the Supreme Court. One more tweet here. After all the back and forth, you have proven what we all suspected this whole time. You were just as deplorable and spineless as the rest of them. Congrats on joining the Trump fan club. You had a chance to be the GOP standard bearer. Instead, you showed that you have no standards. Why are you surprised at all? This is who they are. This is who they've always been. Every time, I cannot believe people still fall for Mitt Romney. Why? He showed who he really is. He showed it now, and he went back and he showed it back in 2012 when he ran against Obama, when he said that 47% of the country is moochers and victims. That's who Mitt Romney really is. So of course, he's going to go along with the party, toe that party line, and, it's because that party is going to give him power and going to make him rich. And that's always what it's been about. I really hope that this time that liberals stop giving anti-Trump Republicans the benefit of the doubt and stop inviting them into the quote-unquote resistance. They need to realize that they should stop courting suburban Romney Republicans because they're going to do this every single time. Republicans, and this is the lesson here, Republicans are not our friends. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We've got weak Democrats. Yep. I'm going to show you who is partly to blame for this. Democrats caving on RGB seat. So we'll be back in a minute. Stay right here, Round the Nation.
Tighten up my meat.
I like my meat tight.
Wet ass P word.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
There's some whores in this house.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. All right, so a couple of comments on Twitch here. Talon's Pride says he was wrong about that. I looked up the 17 non-confirmed SCOTUS. Yep. They're all theocrats. Social democracy is really popular, and I should not say I was kidding about the Romney planet. Oh, no. I was kidding that he was going to get his own planet. No, he's going to hell. For being a douchebag. But if he wasn't, he'd get a planet. All right, anyway. Let's see. YouTube. Thank you, Yusuf Boost. That's really, really kind of you for the $2. Actos Magus, also super kind donation. Here's some dough towards the new streaming rig. Don't forget a good video card. Oh, of course. Absolutely. 3070 or 3080 look awesome. Yeah, that's the 3070 is not out yet, but I'm looking to getting it with for my own personal computer, and so that's not involved with the donations at all. So I've got like 2 separate funds set up for that, and I've been tweaking my own computer for gaming with my own money. So, while also using your donations to get the computer stuff for the stream. So, I actually did get a hard drive that's on the way, a hybrid SSHD. That should probably help us with the read-write issues. So, we'll see what happens. But it's the slow growing on that. But we are upgrading, and thank you to everybody who's donated so far to that effort. We've got a board, we've got a case, we got some RAM, we got a hard drive coming. We just need some, the processor and video card. We should be good to go for an upgrade. All right, so we're getting close. All right, Dango Bangle says, I missed the show, first day back to work, dog care. Good stuff. Thank you for joining, and thank you for the super chats, everybody. All right, moving on, let's go to weak-ass Democrats, which is always great. Hold. Let me set this up. Oh, some of you might be having the some frame rate issues, which sucks. This is why I'm upgrading, by the way. All right. While the Republicans are certain to get their Supreme Court nominee before the end of the year, which would remake the conservative court. Let me start that again. That was pretty bad. All right. While Republicans are set to get their Supreme Court nominee, remaking the court into a 6-3 conservative supermajority, which is sure to, of course, set all progress back decades, you have the Democratic Party, who is already surrendering in a show of pathetic weakness, starting with, of course, Senator Dianne Feinstein. Feinstein, who said that if Democrats were to win back the Senate, she would not be in favor of packing the courts, going along, of course, with Tim Kaine. She says, quote, I don't believe in doing that. I think the filibuster serves a purpose. You would, of course, have to eliminate the filibuster and then, again, pack the courts to get as many nominees as you could to offset the conservative majority. Now, here's the thing about the court. You can actually do that. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that you can't, pack the courts, that you can't have more than 9 justices. So generally, we try to avoid doing that. But in the case of, having Trump in the ultra-conservative Supreme Court, you would have so many rights that are on the line: women's rights, LGBT plus rights, labor rights, environmental, regulation, healthcare, things that are super, super important would be just stymied, completely stopped, blocked. We've got to do something about it. And so that's the issue. So now, why is Dianne Feinstein completely wrong? Well, I think it should be pretty obvious, okay? Look, I know she's 80 plus years old, but does she not remember Mitch McConnell and his unprecedented obstruction? When he was minority leader during the Obama administration, he led the Senate, and this is between 2013 and 2014. This is Democrats' last 2 years in the majority. This is 1 year. He did 252 filibusters. 252. And that's way up higher than any he's ever done before. Okay, and so that is a big, big problem. That right there forced Harry Reid into eliminating the filibuster during his time as majority leader before losing the Senate to Republicans, which of course has led us to our current problematic situation. And so Dianne Feinstein, though, is basically saying, I'm not going to fight back. Why? Why? Why would you not fight back at this? Why would you not use the tools that are available to you? Why? Why do you never fight? Why do Democrats never, ever fight? Speak about that, right? Pelosi. What about Pelosi? She's, well, here's what she said. Quote, we have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now. But the fact is, we have a big challenge in our country. Now, this was a couple of days ago. She said, ultimately, the best tool in our arsenal is to, quote, just win the election, and then encouraged everyone to vote. Okay, but how the hell is that going to solve our current problem? How is getting you back into power after they do all this going to help? How? We are going to have a conservative court for now decades. They're going to rule against everything that is even vaguely progressive. They could get rid of the ACA, Obamacare, gone, during a pandemic, causing millions of people to lose their health insurance. And you refuse to do anything to try to prevent this nomination, which you certainly could gum up the works. Yes, Nancy Pelosi, I realize that she is in the House, right? And that the House is pretty limited. But there are ways that she could gum up the works and to make it so that it is much more time-consuming to get things through Congress. But yet she's taken basically every weapon off the table, okay? And so here's the thing. Well, I mean, you just go vote. Oh, now look, I'm an advocate of voting. I think that voting is pretty important, right? But at the same time, why should we vote for you if you suck, if you do nothing? Why? Why should Democrats vote for you over someone else? Why should we vote for you if you're not going to do a goddamn thing? That's the problem, okay? That's the question. And again, I'm not saying we should let Republicans win. No, that'd be stupid. But why the hell should we support you? Why should you call yourself a master legislator? What have you done other than kill Medicare for all? What has Dianne Feinstein done for us lately? Nothing. Nada. We got to get rid of them. We got to replace Pelosi. We've got to replace Dianne Feinstein. We have to get rid of these terrible corporate Democrats. I mean, for God's sake, you could even try to impeach William Barr. It's not like he hasn't done enough to warrant it by getting himself personally involved in things that the Department of Justice shouldn't be involved in. Okay? Now, some reactions here. Addie Barkin is an activist who's dying, Medicare for All activist. He said, if Manchin and Feinstein are not willing to abolish the filibuster, it's another Democrat, barely a Democrat, then they need to be stripped of their chairmanships of the Energy and Judiciary Committees. Schumer must do this or lose his primary in 2022. Oh my God, could you imagine if AOC primaried Schumer and won? Yeah. Peter Dow says, first Pelosi surrenders, then Schumer, now Feinstein. Remember when I said not to count on the establishment Democrats to fight for the SCOTUS? In fact, remember how they rolled over as McConnell stole Merrick Garland's seat? Yes, I do remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. We all remember. Manchin and Feinstein are literal Republicans. Democrat in name only. And that's it. All right. David Adkins says, we had a chance to replace Feinstein with Kevin DeLeon. I do remember that race. We were right. This is why we were right. And everybody who got upset about it was wrong. Yeah. There's more. Republicans get the system is rigged, that it's illegitimate and anti-democratic. That's why they exploit it and use it against us. Democrats like Feinstein believe the system is inherently good, reflecting an ancient wisdom, a fiction leading to bad strategy and no results. To that, I say, who do you think rigged the system in the first place? Yeah, of course they benefit from a rigged system. Both sides do. And unfortunately, both sides are more concerned about their reelection and their power than to actually do the right thing when it comes to policy. They have forgotten the reason that they were supposed to be sent to Congress. All right. Cenk Hubert. He said this on Twitter. It's a great tweet. Pelosi has taken the debt ceiling and the budget off the table. Tim Kaine took impeachment and expanding the court off the table. Feinstein is also against expanding the court. In the span of 48 hours, Democrats have taken almost the entire arsenal off the table on RBG's seat. What happened to the quiver that Pelosi was talking about? Apparently, the only thing left is why don't you just vote for the same people that allowed Republicans to steal 2 SCOTUS seats? I don't know about you, but that is a pretty terrible choice. It seems like no choice at all, really. Look, we need to replace these weak, feckless Democrats. Primary the hell out of them. Protest in their offices. Blow up their phone lines with coals. Stop sending them money. Stop supporting their re-election campaigns. Look, if they're not going to fight for us, why the hell are we going to fight for them? Why support them at all? Look, I understand we need to defeat Trump, number one, right? That is the number one priority. But as soon as we do that, we've got to come after the establishment. We need to come for the establishment and not stop until they are defeated. All right. There is no quiver, Leland Miller says. Hopefully I said your name right. Sorry if I didn't. I butcher names. Let's see. Twitch, my new caption for SCOTUS, every change of the president changes the court completely or kick them all out. Get real nonpartisan judges that have no political loyalties. I think the second option is not really, it's not really a second option because everybody's going to have their political opinions and biases. But term limits for judges, yeah, we could definitely go for that. All right. Call them fascists. That's what they really are. The Republicans, absolute fascists. Absolutely. And Democrats, just super weak and feckless. Paid to lose. Paid to lose. All right. Moving on here. Last story for you guys. Dog meat, I do play Super Mario. I just haven't played it on stream. Why? Because I don't have a good capture card. I'm still trying to figure out how that works. Hooking up my Switch to the computer to stream from that. So if you guys want to help out, Lee Lin. Thank you for that. Again, butcher of names. So yes, I will go and try to figure out how to stream my Switch on the on the computer here. All right. Anyway, let's move on here. With early voting now available to do in some states like Virginia, Trump supporters have begun showing up to polls in order to intimidate these voters. Take a look. So that happened at the County Board of Elections in the D.C. suburb of Fairfax, Virginia, and actually followed a rally nearby featuring Republican National Committee co-chair Tommy Hicks. Now, one county official said that the group had intimidated some of the voters who were waiting to vote, and that another part of the government building had to be opened up for voters who were moved inside. According to the New York Times, and this is Fairfax County General Register Gary Scott talking to the Times. He says, quote, citizens coming into and leaving the building did have to go by them. And so there were some people that were intimidated and had asked for escort. Now, for me, I'm not intimidated easily. So would that have intimidated me? No, but I'm also kind of a big guy. I may be 5'9", but I'm stacked. So, yeah, good luck with that. But I can understand how some people did feel intimidated by this. And so that is voter intimidation. Now, the group did dissipate eventually by 1 p.m. And Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano, the top prosecutor, said in a Facebook post that his office would, quote, pursue cases of voter intimidation that may have occurred. Now, look, what's interesting is Fairfax County is pretty Democrat, right? And so these Trump supporters, it's not as if they were, going in to try to, I guess, advocate, or maybe not even advocate, but like cheer on their own side, right? In a heavily conservative county. No, this is a very Democrat county. A lot of Democrat voters. And so the purpose was pretty clear. They wanted to go and they wanted to intimidate voters. And that's it. Now, again, chanting 4 more years, to me, not necessarily intimidating, but I can understand how some people would feel this way. And so I get it. Now, there was also reports of people literally blocking the entrance. And yes, you are not supposed to politic at the polls. Very, very true. So now, basically, they're doing the same thing they did to people who would get abortions, basically. Standing in front and blocking your vote in person, right? Standing outside your polling places and yelling at you. In that case, like I said, all we could see is to chant for 4 more years. Now, Republicans, instead of saying, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't, have people outside blocking people's votes, access to the polls or anything like that. Instead, the Republican Party, the Virginia GOP, actually tweeted this in response to the New York Times story. Somebody called the whambulance. Well, I'm glad voter suppression is funny to you, GOP. Really. They also said that in another county, election officials didn't accuse them of blocking access, just intimidating voters. We weren't blocking access to polls. What we were doing is intimidating the voters, so it's fine. And somebody called it, you feel intimidated? Somebody called the whambulance. Come on, dude, really? I mean, here's Fairfax County GOP Vice Chair Sean Rastatter telling the New York Times, quote, I don't think there was any way to need or feel intimidated in any form. Oh, of course, Trump supporters randomly yelling at you, that's fine. Quote, I'm sorry, that's there's no more quotes there from him. Other than, of course, we needed to make sure people aren't committing voter fraud. Yeah. They're not. There is no voter fraud that's going on here. And so there's no need to send people out to the polls. But that's what Donald Trump is doing, by the way. Donald Trump and the Republicans are sending people out to the polls. They're encouraging them to go and, quote unquote, watch polls to make sure that people aren't committing voter fraud. When in reality, most of the time, voter fraud is committed. At least, the high-profile cases. So usually tend to be Republicans that are out there saying, well, I'm just testing the system. No, you're not. You're doing voter fraud. You're just trying to pump up the numbers in order to try to block people from being able to vote. And that's what it's about. But look, if there was actual voting fraud, don't you think that Donald Trump and his commission on finding voter fraud would have found substantial numbers? Instead, they did an entire investigation and found nothing. Nothing at all. And so, yeah, it's nothing more than intimidation. Now, here's the thing. Here's also something that Donald Trump had said. Quote, and this is on his poll watchers, we're going to have everything. We're going to have sheriffs and we're going to have law enforcement and we're going to hopefully have U.S. attorneys and everybody, attorneys generals, but it's very hard. What? Again, he wants to have law enforcement watch over the polls, okay? Especially in minority areas. So that is also another form of voter intimidation. I'm just saying, look, these are the people that don't believe in democracy. They don't want more people voting. It's very obvious. Look, I've shown you the video of Paul Ryrick many times. Almost every time I talk about voter suppression, that comes up. Why? It's because that's part of their plan. He is the godfather of the modern conservative movement, admitted it on tape, where he's like, I don't want more people voting. I want less voting because that's how we win. That's how we win. When less people vote, we win more. And that's just a fact. And you have the demographics right now that have turned against the Republican Party. They're a shrinking party, and so they have resort to intimidation tactics. They have it's voter suppression, eliminating polling places, and now putting people in front of polling places to discourage people from voting. And not only that, but of course you have gigantic lines as well. Lines that you do not have. And I have lived in plenty of Republican districts, okay, in conservative districts that are majority white. And let me tell you, there's never a line at our polling place. Almost never. And if there is, I think I stood in one line that took about 5 minutes to clear. Contrast that to people living in minority areas who have to wait over an hour, sometimes 2 hours or more. These things are not equal. They're not equal at all. And so that's, look, it just shows they prefer to have white Republican voters and not have Democratic voters because, again, that voter suppression is how Republicans win. These are people that have power, and they are not afraid to use it. And what voters they cannot scare off, they want to make sure do not count. Donald Trump keeps talking about fake ballots. This is why. This is why. And he says he's going to make sure that they do not count on Election Day. For one, they are not fake. But secondly, and more importantly, he wants to make sure that he wins. And in order to do that, he has to make sure that your vote doesn't count. And that's it. And look, I get frustrated when I hear people say on the left, right? Oh, my vote doesn't count. Doesn't mean anything. If it didn't count, why the hell is everybody always trying to steal it? Why do I constantly see stories of voter suppression, of people blocking access to the polls? If it didn't count, why do they want it so much? And that's the question. And nobody can seem to give me a good answer on it. And so right now, we still have a vote. We get fascism. Well, there goes your vote. Then it really wouldn't count. But at that point, it's way too late. It's not too late yet. It's not too late yet. And so look, we got to turn out. I don't like Biden. Joe Biden's garbage. But my God, man, we've got garbage versus voter suppression and fascism. I guess I'm going to go with garbage. If it allows us to at least continue to be able to wage this fight against the establishment. Fascism wins. That's it. We can't fight the fascism because the left is, look, they go after the left first. They always crush the left first. And then they go after the LGBTQ plus people, trans people. Then they go after the centrists are basically last. No, we can't let that happen. We can't let it get to that point. So that's why, unfortunately, you got to turn out. I have some personal beef against Joe Biden. Turdburger versus douchebag. There you go. You got to do what you got to do. in order to live to fight another day. And so that's what I'm going to do. What you do is up to you. I just hope that you can live with the consequences or live at all. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation with me. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Follow us on Twitch. Twitch.tv, Jeff_Waldorf, WLDRF. Waldorf Nation, please subscribe. Help us out. Patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. You also can follow me on Twitter at Jeff's Politics and all that good stuff. So please do so. We also have a fundraiser going on, so you can help us out there by donating to that. The link is in the description there. And we'll see you all later on. Thank you, everyone. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you later.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Tolerate.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
Mike Pounds.
Please clap.
I like my meat tight.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Thailand.